This is Midday Live on TV3. I am Wendy Lai. The headlines for this afternoon. Teachers start nationwide strike action to demand for better conditions of salary and service, and on the fine front, lawyers for Kenyan President-elect Uhuru Kenyatta are to push the International Criminal Court (ICC) to drop charges after the case against his co-accused collapsed. I've got the details of these stories and many more coming up shortly. Please stay with me. I start with the stories now. When the Tema Regional Police Command is set to construct 2 additional police stations in communities 3 and 25 to expand police presence in the metropolis. The project, which will be funded by the police and residents, will bring policing to the doorsteps of the people.
Regional Commander DCOP Maxwell Atingani was interacting with regional police personnel from Ada, Dodowa and Ashaiman at the annual Wasa ceremony. He noted crime reports had reduced considerably, commending officers and men for their role in ensuring security during, before and after the elections in the metropolis. A total of 16,662 crimes cases reported in 2011 also fell by 13,117 in 2012.
It is our resolve to work harder to reduce the figure to the barest minimum. With the past as a guide into the future, I can confidently assure you that the year 2013 will certainly see a step up in police military operations to drastically reduce crime and make Tema and its environs a safe haven.
The Tema Manche cautioned the police to desist from negative acts which could dent their image. Awards were given to some hardworking and distinguished personnel.
Now we go straight to focus on the strike action by teachers, and I do have on the phone line a reporter from the Northern Region, Zach Kadri. Hello, Zach.
Hello, Wendy.
Now, how is the strike action affecting teaching and learning in the Northern Region?
Well, negatively. Almost all the basic schools, there's no teaching and learning going on. But teachers are in the campuses with students lecturing about. Teachers are doing their own, but no teaching. The only exceptional is the Bopar Technical School. After the time I got there, they were writing their mock exams. I talked to the administrators. They said they cannot imagine why they call punishing the children just for their own interest. So all the teachers at the Bopar Technical School Institute are supervising exams at Ghana Senior High School. They should have been the beginning of their end of term exams, but because of the strike, nothing was going on. Students were in classes, others were moving about the campus, while teachers were also around doing their own things. I entered the staff command room, some of them were there preparing lesson notes. There was no effective teaching and learning. So apart from the Bopar Technical, all schools that are visited, Tamale Senior High, Ghana Senior High, the Bopar Senior High, no effective teaching is going on. Wendy.
All right, now, Zach, if you've been able to talk to some of the pupils and also parents, what really are they saying about this very issue?
Yeah, at Ghana Senior High, I talked to 2 students. One of them said that they are very, very, very uncomfortable with the situation. Because some of them prepared, because of the timetable for the exam, they prepared for the timetable. Now they don't even know they are fit. They are going to write the exam, whether they will be writing the exam or they will be allowed to go home if the situation is not resolved before they vacate. And that was the only place I talked to students.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Zach Kadri. He was giving us an update on the teacher strike action, and we're looking at the side of the Northern Region. Next is what you think on that very issue. Today I'm finding out your thoughts on the teacher strike action. What do you think?
What's just coming on and looking at the situation. When I heard the news this morning, I felt very bad. But then, what can we do? We just pray the government to do something about it so that they can go back to the school.
If this thing doesn't stop, it's going to worry the student. For all you know, they might not even pass their exams. But they are going to spend another money or waste another money by going to, some classes and all that. That's going to cause them to. So I think government should pay more attention to especially to the teachers, so that all these things will just stop.
The government to just sit with them and see what is the problem, and that's it. I believe they will consider.
It's very bad, but then I think they should consider the children, and then they should teach them. Then after the exam, then they will go to their strike.
Without the teachers, our kids, they can't go ahead. So we plead with them to exercise patience. So the government also must look their affairs to do whatever they need, so that the kids also may be future leaders.
You're still with Midday Live. You can get interactive on Facebook and Twitter as News on TV3. On our Facebook page, we're asking you your thoughts about the teachers' strike action. There are lots of comments here, but we'll go straight to the Ashanti region, where we have one of our reporters, William Evans. He's been following up on the strike action declared by teachers last Friday, and he has been speaking to some of the students. We will quickly hand over to him to give us more on the strike action in the Ashanti region and how this is affecting pupils over there. But while we're still trying to get him, okay, so we have Evans there now.
The two teaching bodies, that is NAT and NAGRAT, have actually activated via strike action, as was announced last week. And here at the Osei Chichi Senior High School, the situation is actually affecting academic work here. As you can see, most of the students are seen mingling about because there's virtually no teacher in the classroom. And we can also see from the other side of the school compound, teachers actually sitting under the tree, and I'm sure they are also members of NAT and NAGRA. They have actually abandoned any class activity for now because they believe that some of the grievances that they have tabled before the government and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, as well as the GES, have not yielded any positive results. So you'll be speaking to some of the students in the classroom to also find out how this whole thing has also affected them. So current pictures here actually shows vividly that there is no teacher in the classroom, as mentioned earlier, and I'll be speaking to some of the students to find out from them how this strike action is actually affecting their academic work. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Well, how is the teachers' absence in the classroom is affecting you as students?
It's like we are supposed to complete school within 3 years, and we are using the Form 4 syllabus. And the time,
what's supposed to be happening here, and what is the change now?
It's like on normal Mondays, we are supposed to have effective classes. And now, since the teachers are not in, we are supposed to have even exams this coming Wednesday, but the teachers are not in, so the students are roaming about.
All right, so it's a serious situation here, as the student has actually elaborated to us. On a normal Monday morning, the classes activity is supposed to be intensified. Serious normal classes, but that is not the picture we are to the other classroom as well. And you can see this is quite interesting. Some of the students, or a student here is actually seen teaching his colleagues. We want to find out from him. Student turned teacher, tell me, I can see you are teaching your students or you're teaching your colleagues. What is actually happening?
Well, as we all know, the teachers have gone on strike today. And as you can see, the class, we are 74 in the class, but more than half of them here are absent. And as a responsible school prefect of the school, and I happen to be in the same class with them, I took it as a responsibility, since the teachers are coming to the classroom today, to go through with them what we've learned so far in the time in government. So that's exactly what I'm doing with them.
Well, so that's quite interesting development here. The student has to actually take it upon himself and step in the shoes of the teachers and also try to impact some knowledge into his colleagues. And as you can see from the board, he's actually teaching them forms of government, unitary system of government, actually the government subject. So that is the situation we are actually witnessing here. But we will be moving to some of the classrooms as well. So, well, as you can see, this classroom, I mean, the students are virtually out of the class. A typical Monday morning, this is quite strange because this is not the picture here on a typical Monday morning, as we were told earlier by one of the students. But let me speak to my good sister here to tell me the actual development here. What is happening?
Since our teachers are not in school, we are not able to have classes effectively. Therefore, we can't learn as we used to do on Mondays. Therefore, it's affecting our studies since we have to write our exams on Wednesday.
So, as a student, what are you doing as you journey your way to the academic excellence?
We have to take our books on our own and learn so that we can write our exams and pass very well without the work of the teachers being in our support.
Well, so the students actually have to organize themselves and learn because the teachers are not in class. And the most serious part of this whole thing is that on Wednesday, they are going to have their written paper as far as the WASI is concerned. And the big question is, are we going to see the invigilators in the various classrooms or the centers? So if they are not going to be part of the WASI, what is going to become of the very papers that the students write? Is it going to be nullified since there weren't any invigilators? And if that is so, what is also going to happen to their future? That is a million question that we should be asking ourselves. So the students are actually appealing to all stakeholders involved to actually expedite action in getting the teachers back to the classroom. Until then, I will hand you over to Wendy Lai as she continues with the Midday Live.
Thank you very much indeed, William Evans Income, for that live report from the Ashanti region. But we continue with more on the teacher strike, and we go straight to the central region where we have Thomas Kwesi Asante on the phone line. Hello, Thomas. Can you hear me, Thomas?
Hello.
All right. Now, Thomas, what is the atmosphere at the various schools you visited this morning?
Indeed, Wendy, I can confirm to you that the teachers have indeed, I think members of the GNAT and NAGAT which are found in these schools are indeed have laid down their tools in most of the schools that we visited in Cape Coast, and which we have monitored around the region. Especially we went to the Ghana National Senior High School, the Ghana National in Cape Coast here, and most of the teachers were there. They were some of them were there, some weren't there. And it was just that some of them were trying, the headmaster was trying to speak to some of the masters to try and invigilate terminal examinations for the Form 1s and the Form 2s. And the same thing applied in St. Monica's Junior High School. You can imagine when we go to the Junior High School, the children are just jumping and clapping and singing about because the teachers weren't there. And even we hear that in Straight Road, Aguna West constituencies, some other places in Kaswa and others, in the primary school, some of the pupils have been sent home because the teachers were simply not there. But it's going to seriously affect those who have not yet had their terminal exam, especially in Holy Child Senior High School in Cape Coast. They have taken the Form 1 and 2s have taken their terminal exam. So we are yet, they've laid down their tools, and the strike is going on.
All right, so Thomas, so you also did see like other corresponding students loitering about, pupils loitering about on the campus?
Yes. For example, an interesting scenario occurred at Sogu in Aguna Sedu, where there were some exams going on, and the teachers were simply not invigilating, and the students, you could imagine what they were doing, and we took some pictures, and they were very interesting ones. People had some of the students just hop from their desk and go to the other place, take some information, get back when the matters are coming. But the matters are simply, reluctant to vigilate. And these are some of the fallout.
Well, thank you very much. Thomas Kwesi Asante, he was giving us an update on the teacher strike action and giving us the picture in the central region. But on our Facebook page, we have some of your comments on your thoughts on the teacher strike action. Mohammed Wiz says that the teacher strike action is disturbing final year students. And then also Martin Boachi says that if you're not a teacher, you won't understand. These are some of your comments on our Facebook page. Add more and send your posts on Facebook and Twitter, News on TV, through your short code 1734. Your thoughts on the teacher strike action. You're still watching Midday Live, but away from the teacher strike action, trial tests have begun on the generation of the first power from the Bui hydroelectric power projects. In this report, Daniel Latte looks at the preparations towards the evacuation of 133 megawatts of power by the end of April 2013. Power project, we go to the Volta region where we have our reporter Robert Abelba to also tell us the effect of and the impact of the teacher strike in the Volta region. Hello, Robert.
Yeah.
Now, we've heard from the Ashanti region, the central region and the northern region, and they did say that indeed the strike action has taken effect there. A number of students are loitering about on the campus. Is that the same situation in the Volta region? Are you on the line, Robert?
Hello. Hello, Wendy.
Yes, Robert. I did say some few seconds ago that we've seen the picture from the Ashanti, from the central and the northern region. The strike action has taken effect, and some pupils are also loitering about on the various campuses that our reporters did visit. What is the situation in the Volta region? Is that the same?
Yeah, Wendy, thank you very much. I must say the situation is not different from what people have heard and then our various correspondents too have said. At about 9:30 this morning, I had to visit a few first cycle and second cycle schools within the whole municipality. My first point of contact, I went to Malco Girls Secondary School, where the situation was not different. Teachers were saying loitering about, just cracking jokes. They were standing under a big tree. When I interacted with them, they said, yes, I have already heard what is happening elsewhere. Leaving the students to their own fate, particularly the Form 1, Form 2 are supposed to have had their terminal, that is what we call internal exams. But due to this strike action embarked by the NAT and NAGRAT, the students are left to their own fate. What I thought further and heard was that the third and then the fourth year students who are supposed to be seriously studying towards their final exam have been replaced to serve as invigilators. Having said this, the first cycle schools that are also based around Housing, Bankwe, and then that of Woodule, OG schools, was nothing to write home about, as the teachers said they have been instructed by their various executive officers not to step foot in any of the classes, or else whoso do so, whosoever did so, would be doing disservice to the association. That's what is the situation as of now.
All right, well, thank you very much, Robert Abelba. He also gave us the picture and what's happening really with regards to the strike action in the Volta region. But we move on to some other stories. And the principal of the Center for Strategic Leadership and Entrepreneurship, Pastor Wilson Senya, says acquiring entrepreneurial skills is key in reducing unemployment figures. He was speaking at the fourth graduation ceremony at the center.
Over 70 students who underwent through the 6 weeks intensive entrepreneurial training at the Center for Strategic Leadership and Entrepreneurship passed out. The training equipped participants on skills on starting businesses, as well as broadening their knowledge on better customer relations. Students were exposed to field work and also assigned to business entities as a way of nurturing their abilities to set up and operate businesses. The program is aimed at supporting government's efforts at cushioning the private sector to take up the challenge of leading the country's development agenda.
The challenge we are having is not about funding. The challenge we are having is that a lot of people are idea bankrupt. How can we get young people to look at opportunities that we have? It is the major thing to curb the unemployment challenge in our country. If we can get more young people, more of our people into focusing on themselves and the ability they have in them, and then we will come in, and other agencies will come in and equip them and give them the platform to go up.
We're bringing you more on the teacher strike action from across the country, and we have Upper East correspondent Rabiu Tanko on the phone line. Hello, Rabiu.
Hello, Wendy.
Now, what is the situation in the Upper East region?
Okay, thank you very much. The strike action has really started in the Upper East region, Wakatanga to be precise. This morning, between the hours of 10 and 11, most of the schools I visited, teachers have abandoned their classrooms, grouped at different locations, sitting idle. The teachers confirmed to me of their actions and said until their demands are met, they will continue to be on strike. On the part of the people, a lot of them have gone home while others took advantage of the strike to play around instead of going home, saying they can't go home now because their parents will not understand them because it's not closing time. The JSS candidates are the only students currently at the schools are visited, learning individuals and groups because the BEC is around the corner. Unfortunately, I am not able to speak to the leadership of NAT due to their tight schedule.
All right, now, Rabiu, if you've been able to talk to some of the pupils and parents, what are they saying about the strike action?
Yeah, for now, they are saying they can't do anything because some of them were surprised to come to school this morning and they were told that the teachers are on strike, and then, some of them were even confused while others were crying, especially candidates who are to write the BEC.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed, Rabiu Tanko. He's our correspondent in the Upper East region. He was also telling us, yes, the strike action has taken effect. It started last Friday, has taken effect in the Upper East region. We continue with more stories on Midday Life. Staff and student of the National Vocational Training Institute have jointly undertaken a health walk to keep fit. The 3-hour exercise took them through the principal streets of Accra. Scores of students and staff of NVTI took part in the fitness walk. The exercise started from the Obra Sports through Nima, Gata down through to Rich 37 and finally ending at the school's head office. The walk, dubbed Healthy Life, a boost to skill acquisition and higher productivity, according to organizers, was to help create awareness on the need to support vocational education. The executive director, Stephen Amponsa of the training school, encouraged students to develop more interest in the vocation in order to acquire better profession in the future.
Right, so it's the beginning of another business week. A very good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us. Let's do some business now. My name is Nanekia Asare. The power rationing exercise still going on and still taking its toll on businesses. Now, the power rationing exercise, as I stated, continues to affect manufacturing companies negatively. Cement producer Gasem lost 19,455 tons of cement in February this year, while its 16 million euro plant is currently producing under capacity. Managing Director Morton Gate, however, says the loss is not likely to affect cement's pricing.
The recent frequent power cuts is inimical to cement production. For example, plants of Gasem in both Tema and Takoradi and other companies in the industry are struggling to survive. The nation's cement demand is 7 million tons per annum, but currently producers only supply 5 million tons, resulting in a shortfall. In January and February this year, the Takoradi plant lost 9,005 tons and 19,455 tons. The situation could affect demand and supply, but producers spoke on prices.
It will not affect the prices of cement anytime soon. What we are stressing is the significant losses in production we have had in Takoradi due to the unreliable power supply. We will be able to produce whatever the demand of cement is in the country together with our competitors, but it requires that we have a reliable electricity supply. If not, we will not be able to make it.
Government says short-term measures are underway to cushion manufacturers.
Government will, in the short and medium term, find adequate answers into improving access to the utility services of all industries across the country, and may even consider in future dedicated energy sources for purposes of powering industries.
But there's still more challenges with supply of limestone. 5 cement producers now compete for the limited 24% concession derived from locals at Yulukrovo, whilst imported clinker compete for 2 berthing space at the port, accruing high demurrage costs. Gassem, for instance, paid $9 and $5 million in 2011 and 2012, affecting operations. Cement producers say unfair trade practice is also another hindrance.
We need to strengthen our ECOWAS protocol and agree on common tariff regime and open up our market. Government will not accept a situation where we open our doors to others and they close windows on us. We need fair trade, and the ministry will take responsibility through the establishment of the International Tariff Advisory Committee.
And talking about pricing on the markets, one also comes to play, which is the commodity prices. Not seeing too many positives at the beginning of the week, this week on the commodity markets. And this has been quickly attributed to the Cyprus issue, which has accounted for the shortfalls on the commodity market. But for the prices of gold, we saw some positives. They will be looking more into detail into that later. But I understand my colleague Roland is standing by at the International Customs Conference, which is taking place here in Accra, and we will join him quite soon. We will just hand over to him to give us more detail on that. But let me just touch on the commodity prices. As I stated, unprecedented levy on bank deposits in Cyprus accounting for the increased demand for oil. Oil prices now rating at $108.22 with a negative price change of 1.58 on the international market. All the commodities saw negative recorded, but for gold, investor confidence still high there. We saw some positives recorded. $10.87 was the price change as compared to that of closing business day last Friday, $1,603.04. So that is how the commodity market is faring. Let's continue with the bulletin. And the chief director at the finance ministry, Major Tara, says President Mahama's first term of office will focus on the implementation of programs that consolidate the country's fledgling middle income status. He was speaking at a post-budget workshop for budget officers in the northern sector of the country.
The post-budget workshop was organized jointly by the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Information and Media Relations. Participants from the Ashanti, Bonahafo, Upper East and West regions were schooled on the budget. They were also briefed on the various components of the 2013 budget to enable them to further disseminate the information at the various decentralized levels. Outgoing Ashanti Regional Minister Samuel Sapon said the workshop would help budget officers play their respective roles meaningfully.
Government, however, believes that the extent to which it will be successful in advancing the Better Ghana agenda largely depends on the level at which the general public appreciates government vision as enshrined in all major policy documents such as the budget statement.
The Chief Director at the Ministry of Finance, Major Samuel Tara, spoke about the passage of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act to direct use of identifiable oil and gas revenues.
It is my hope that after today's briefing by our able resource persons, you will be fully empowered with detailed understanding of the 2013 budget statement for onward dissemination to the general Ghanaian population through your various platforms.
And besides the commodity markets not faring too, apart from gold, which rose as high as 1,600, well, I'd like to tell you that this is the first time in the whole month that we've had this price. Well, the Ghana cedi also didn't fare well against the dollar as well as the euro. We'll bring you the figures later. But my colleague Roland Walker is standing by at the International Customs Conference, which is taking place here in Accra, and we'll be handing over to him shortly. Right, so Roland Walker is standing by at the International Customs Conference, which is taking place right here in Accra. He'll be bringing us up to minute interviews and updates on what is really happening there. But as I was saying earlier, trading on Monday saw the local units lose 0.31% of its previous day's value to the dollar amid high demand for the latter. Now, the cedi also lost 0.79% of its week open value to the pound sterling and 0.90% to both the euro and the CFA. I understand my colleague Roland is now ready. Let's hand over to him now.
Sandwich you in the middle. Okay, that'll be all right. I have to ask you, critical is this very conference you're having today?
Yeah, it is important because it's bringing together the experts of customs administration in West and Central Africa. These are the people, the policy makers, who come and deliberate on the challenges facing the various customs administration and make recommendations for their director generals who will be joining them on Wednesday. So it's a very important meeting conference, and it brings together 23 African customs administrations for West and Central Africa. They are coming together to look at the problems that confront them as individual countries, and collectively also the challenges that the customs administrations face in the region. So it's a very important conference.
Now, in coming back to the issues that we face in the sub-regions, we're looking at Central and West African sub-regions. Which are the challenges that you think are common to both sub-regions?
Well, you realize that most of the problems confronting the sub-region, you see, we derive all our revenue from, imports, taxes on imports and exports. Aside of that, of late, you realize that there are other issues like cross-border crime activities, proliferation of small arms, and of late, what is happening in the global world, security, and terrorism. These are things that are, every country is facing, and then so we've come to look at some of these challenges. How can we collaborate? How can we share information, to counteract and check all these things? Again, you realize the money laundering too is also now becoming a problem. All based on all these things, but that's on security. So how can these experts, we share ideas, what is confronting each of the member administrations in this sub-region, and see how best, we can find solutions to these things.
As far as we're concerned, in West Africa, there's always the talk about the need to improve on the protocols of ECOWAS, and as far as the free movement of labor and goods and services are concerned. Do you think that as countries within the sub-region, we can achieve that?
Oh yes, to a large extent. If you track the performance and achievement from the time of inception till now, we have made quite a number of success. We've chalked some success. Of course, we need to deepen it to the level where our citizenry get it at the very basic grassroots. But at the level of protocols, we have finalized those protocols. We are implementing them. As you know, for example, there is this we admit duty-free all goods that originate from the sub-region to each member's countries. That is to say, if you're importing goods that are manufactured from any of the member countries in ECOWAS, it will be admitted free of taxes into each member's country. So by so doing, we are breaking the barriers and expanding the economic or the market area within which we can trade among ourselves. Admittedly, there are a lot of hiccups in trying to implement these protocols at the level of the citizenry. And one of the challenges is how to deepen this and make it more meaningful practically to our people. Well, a lot of it will depend on information and sensitization, and those are some of the issues that we'll be grappling with during the conference.
There's the basic issue about how electronic systems and technology has now come to improve on custom activities around the world. How are we incorporating that in our activities around West and Central Africa? Or let's even talk about just West Africa or Ghana.
Yeah, I mean, Ghana, quietly, you know, we've been implementing automated systems for over 12 years. And if you can appreciate the challenges that some of the private sector, like the banks, are having with automation, compared to customs, quietly we've been implementing automation. And the benefit or the essence of it is that now we are having very little interface between the public and our officials. The benefit is that it reduces the temptations and threats of integrity and corruption issues. So yes, we are on track. We are constantly improving on the systems, and now we can see that the benefits are spreading. We are trying to roll the automation to all the other entry points at our border posts, and hopefully, as we get the resources to do that in the years to come, we'll be able to automate all our processes and systems. In the West African sub-region also, a number of the countries are also adopting automation as the basis of their procedures and transactions. So what we need to do going forward is how to link up these individual systems such that all the national systems can now be integrated into a regional system. So the Ghanaian automated system can integrate into Cote d'Ivoire, can integrate to Burkina Faso, and then we can easily exchange ideas. And when we achieve that, then we'll be able to say that we have come to the peak of what we aspire to do. Yeah.
Mr. Fredo, there's always a talk about how porous our borders are, and especially when you get to see that we have a lot more porousness at our coastal areas. In West Africa, how do we deal with those challenges? How is our custom division here in Ghana dealing with that?
Well, when you talk of our various frontiers, yes, we have a little challenge, you know, at our borders, but it's not as porous as maybe the perception of the general public. You know, the customs division, for instance, is doing very well, effective patrols. You see, these days you could even see we have a rapid patrol system, and then other, you know, also systems put in place at these various borders. And for now, I'm sure you have not been hearing much about some of these negative activities as it used to be, you know, some years back. Honestly, like you've been saying, just to add to what Wala said, you talked about some of these modern, you know, the electronic system, the e-system that have been. For instance, you can see that even the transit trade has increased a lot. It is all due because of the, you know, the effectiveness of the electronic system. Now we're using the tracking system and then all these things, and we stop these human escorts and all those things. And effectively,
it's working.
Ghana is doing very well.
All right. Well, thank you very much. That'll be it for this afternoon. We've been speaking to Assistant Commissioner for the Custom Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Fredo Ajiman, and also another Assistant Commissioner, Walasa Kondo. But effectively, just in a short sentence, do you think that purposefully this very conference is what we need to improve customs in the sub-region?
Oh, yes. It is because these are the technical experts in the field who are coming to look at the problem from the technical perspectives and then make recommendations for their director generals to take appropriate remedial actions. So it is very important.
Well, thank you very much. And so we now would have to go back to the studio where we will bring you a lot more updates.